Hello, my random viewers, and welcome to Randomly Offensive. Today, we will be continuing Genetic Wars in Genetic Wars July 27th, Part 1. And if you had missed the previous Genetic War chapters, they'll be linked right here, right now, at the tippy top of this video, right here, right now, if you want to click on it and check them out. If not, then let's continue our story. The date is July 27th, and it is the final day of Dracula's ultimatum. The ultimatum of either the death of Walter or Al, and it is the final day, the last day that Vince, Al, Alex, Abraham, and Walter have left to win this war, this 7-year-long war, and defeat Dracula before the ultimatum has reached its final due conclusion. And so, the final battle is about to be set as Al prepares himself with Walter to go out on their branch of the military and try to flank the Genetic Blessings army, with Alex going her own way and joining her own branch to do whatever she can to help out the human side technologically, and unfortunately they must leave Vince behind, for the world leaders had not forgotten what Vince had done 7 years ago, and had not forgotten all the crimes that Vince had committed, and though they are not pursuing any consequences for now, they will never fight along his side, so he is forced to stay behind as he watches his friends, his family, march to the biggest fight they are ever going to engage upon, with Abraham not having the strength in him for watching Howard and Zorg be slaughtered, and losing his friends have become too much to bear for Abraham to even become a part of this final battle. And so Abraham and Vince only wait in the HQ, with no broadcasting on the news, no channels frequencing, and the world is silent as it is thrown into its final battle, with Vince and Abraham not knowing the outcome nor the results, and having no idea what is happening out in the final war, with Vince having his hair change colors drastically and rapidly as he becomes anxious and full of anxiety and stress, hoping that he is not going to lose Al and Alex, and hoping that everything will turn out the way he had hoped, the way he had planned, the way he had predicted. Though, if he's being honest with himself, his predictions isn't that of experience, knowledge, or wisdom, but a prediction out of pure bias and wishful thinking, with Abraham simply sitting upon a sofa calmly as he sips on a glass of tea, hoping that everything will turn out okay. But Abraham has reached a point where he could honestly care less of the outcome, for nothing can be predicted, and nothing that happens from this point on will change what he has lost. And the day begins passing quickly, hour after hour. 1 hour passes, and then 2 hours, and then 4, and then 8, and then even 12 hours have passed, with No news, no hearing from Alex, Al, and Walter, and no updates on the progress of the war, with Vince getting too full of anxiety, too full of stress, tries to look out the window to calm himself, and Vince then begins to feel fear in his heart, and his chest begins to swell as his legs begin to shake at the sight that he is looking at as he looks out the window of the HQ. With Abraham noticing the demeanor changing within Vince, and Vince expressing pure fear, quickly stands up and runs to Vince. As he looks out the window, he sees what Vince is seeing, which is no other than Dracula, slowly walking towards the HQ, with the wind blowing his white robes, causing them to flutter around him, giving him a very unique look and almost symbolic of their permanent death, of the storm to come. With Vince quickly running to the radio and trying to dispatch Alex, with nothing on the other end, nothing on the other line, and no response, he quickly switches to Al, with Al finally answering. "Vince, what do you need, man? I'm a little busy," says Al, with Vince not being able to say anything, not being able to speak, for he is beginning to feel something he's never felt. He is beginning to feel pure, utter fear. Not based on the future, but only based on the past, as facing off with Dracula time and time again is causing Vince to experience PTSD. With Al yelling at him from the other side of the radio, "Vince, come on, man, why'd you call? I don't really have the time," says Al, as he is cut off from the sound of an explosion and then only static, with Vince not being able to control his legs from shaking, looks at Abraham, with Abraham standing tall and confident in front of the door, waiting for it to be swung open by Dracula. "Abraham, what are you thinking you're going to do? I don't want to lose anyone else to this crazed maniac," says Vince, though Abraham does not respond, but continues glaring at the door, standing ready for a fight, with Vince not being able to control his fear. "Abraham, we need to hide. We need to go underneath into the bunker. Abraham, I don't know why he's here. I don't know if he's targeting me or wanting to prove another point." "Abraham," says Vince, though it is too late for any convincing, as Dracula has finally kicked open the door and walks in, now standing right across from Abraham, who is ready to confront him. "Dracula, so you have decided to come straight to us, have you?" says Abraham, with Dracula looking at him. "Sup, Abraham? How have you been?" responds Dracula, as if he has come for nothing more than a morning coffee, with Abraham beginning to snarl at this calm demeanor, at this man who has ruthlessly murdered his friends and is going on life as if nothing is happening, even though he has struck a war that has split the earth in two. You do know that I intend on killing you, don't you? You do know that we are not going to have a very polite conversation. I am going to kill you, Dracula, says Abraham, with Vince widening his eyes at the words of Abraham and the confidence that carries them, with Dracula smiling. Well, I came for the same reason. Though I was not planning on seeing you here, I had suspected you'd be with the others. My target is Vince, Abraham, and if you step aside, I will leave you unharmed and untouched. I'm sorry, but that isn't going to happen today. I am done watching you murder, maim, and butcher. I'm going to kill you, says Abraham, with Vince still not being able to grasp his own emotions, as Dracula then puts his hands out wide as spears launch out of the ground towards Abraham. However, the spears instantly melt and burn away before even being able to touch Abraham. As Abraham gently puts his hands in his pockets and begins walking to Dracula, Dracula's erupting spear after spear, only milliseconds after one another. However, it is no use, as all the spears, every single one, simply melts away and burns. As Abraham gets closer and closer to Dracula, he then spits out fire as if he's a dragon, catching the white robes and garments on Dracula on fire, casting them aflame as they burn, with Dracula standing now toe-to-toe with Abraham. I must say, what they say about you is true. Your strength is incredible. Your power is impressive. But you still don't stand a chance against Shut the hell up, Dracula. I don't care how strong you are, how strong you perceive me to be. Are we going to fight, lad? Are you going to put your dukes up and throw a punch? Or are you just gonna throw these needles at me all day long and watch them burn to the ground? Because to be quite frank, I really don't care. With Abraham and Dracula staring each other down, snarling at one another, the ground begins to shake, and Abraham assumes it is from Dracula, and Dracula begins to show shock and surprise as he assumes it is from Abraham, with Vince looking at the two of them, knowing that they both think that the ground shaking is from one another, knows that something is going on, as he then sees the HQ becoming covered in shade. He quickly peeks out one last time as the sky becomes covered in smoke, and he sees large flashes of light in the distance, with the radio staticking towards them as he can hear Alex's voice. Vince? Abraham? I messed up. Things did not go the way they were supposed to. You guys need to get underground, says Alex frantically, with Abraham and Dracula finally getting their attention taken off of one another. They look out the door as they see large missiles fluttering and covering the sky. Are those what I think they are? Says Dracula, with Vince looking at the both of them. Are those nukes? Have we just caused nuclear warfare? No. We have not caused nuclear warfare. The world is not about to end. Though, those are some pretty high-tier bombs. And I do believe one is heading straight towards us, says Abraham, as he then wraps his arms around Dracula, hugging him. And you are going to go out with me. The second that thing hits, the second the explosion blows my body to bits, I presume it will be enough to blow yours to bits as well. Am I correct in that assumption? Says Abraham, with Vince seeing the seriousness in Abraham's eyes, knowing that Abraham is not bluffing, though Vince refuses to watch another one of his friends die, another one of his family members perish, as he quickly runs and opens the door to the bunker and covers both Abraham and Dracula in a force-filled ball, with a missile raining down towards it, as several missiles connect to the HQ and ignite in a large explosion, blowing the force-filled ball directly to Vince so that he is able to catch it and quickly tuck them in the bunker beneath the HQ. With only moments passing, the three of them are now covered in rubble. With Vince, Abraham, and Dracula being buried in the now rubbled HQ, Dracula's leg is pinned by a large boulder that is weighted down by the rest of the building and all the rubble that presses down on it. With Vince quickly looking around and getting his collectiveness back as he collects his thoughts, while Abraham does the same. There should be no problem to get out of. I simply need to expend a force field. It'll blow this rubble out from on top of us in no time, says Vince, with Abraham quickly grabbing Vince. No, I would not do that, my friend. This rubble is, well, it's energy-based. It will contain aluminum, and with live wires and broken propane valves. If you move a single rock too fast, it will ignite an explosion that not even a god would survive. Dracula would be blown to bits, meaning absolutely so would we. And though I am fully willing to go out with a bang with Dracula, I'm not willing to put your life at risk, Vince. You're far too valuable, and you are the only one that knows the skills to rebuild this economy after this world-breaking war, says Abraham, with Vince nodding his head and then looking at Dracula. And exactly why are you still here? Why haven't you simply just vanished back to your temple? Asks Vince, with Dracula giving him a smirk. Well, I am not laying here out of comfort, Vince. If I were to transport myself with my leg being pinned, there's only two options. I will end up back in my temple, yet I'd be missing a leg. Or I would bring this entire rubbled building with me along with the two of you. And transporting it like that would absolutely cause the rubble to shift, and if what Abraham says is true, we go out with a bang. And I don't want to die. So I will lie here while you guys dig our way out and free us from this little mess of ours, says Dracula, with Vince giving him a smile. Well, I'm not going to get you out of here. I'll move every rock but that boulder. I'll leave you trapped for all of eternity. In fact, why don't I just kill you now? Says Vince as he looks around the rubble and grabs a broken piece of metal that is jagged at the end, with Dracula laughing at him. Now, Vince, I took a grenade to the face. That is not going to work, says Dracula, as Vince then lunges the broken piece of metal into Dracula's chest. However, the metal just breaks upon impact as it snaps in half, with Dracula unscathed, with Vince then tossing the piece of metal. Well, it was worth a shot, says Vince, with Abraham grabbing another piece of metal that too is jagged. Yeah, let me give it a shot, says Abraham, as he then lunges this broken piece of metal into the throat of Dracula. However, it too just breaks upon impact, leaving Dracula unscathed. And no, it doesn't work. It was worth a shot there. Would you guys please stop trying to kill me so nonchalantly? I almost feel like I am an egg that you're trying to crack, says Dracula. I do believe I deserve a little bit more respect if you're going to kill me. You do not deserve any respect, Dracula, says Vince, with Dracula looking at Vince, but not glaring at him or snarling, but just simply looking at him. As Vince and Abraham begin slowly digging their way out and moving the rubble, Dracula only continues looking at Vince. You know, I consider myself a powerful man, which is logical, says Dracula, with Abraham and Vince both rolling their eyes. I am the most powerful genetic blessing to ever live, and I am the guardian of all genetic blessings. Though I am not the most powerful being, I am the most powerful human to ever obtain the God Orb, or any genetic blessing for that matter. And yet, Vince, you are held to an equal regard. You, my friend, are seen as a powerful man. All genetic blessings know your name. They even fear your name. And with that being said, I have a hard time understanding why. How have you climbed the ranks of power when there are so many genetic blessings stronger than you? The Chief, Abraham, hell, Even Howard, who was not a genetic blessing, was far more capable of taking me on than you've ever been. A human was stronger than you. A human was more powerful than you. Yet, the whole world fears Vince Caballero. You are seen as a powerful man. How the hell did you pull that off? Says Dracula, with Vince removing one more piece of rubble and then looking at him. Dracula, my strength is not my power. For a being who has been around for thousands of years, you are incredibly naive. My power does not come from strength alone, nor does it come from only brutality, even though times have called for me to be brutal and merciless. Times have also required me to be gentle and show kindness. You ask how I have climbed the ranks of power? The great Dracula doesn't know, says Vince mockingly, with Dracula slowly shaking his head. No, I do not, Vince. How about you educate me? Responds Dracula, with Vince leaning in. My power comes from building family, from creating an empire through loyalty and bond, whether that loyalty is through respect, fear, or admiration. I build relationships. I do instill fear upon those that are susceptible to it. But with a man like Howard, a man like Abraham, men like Zorg and Lance required a different touch. You see, when put in situations such as Howard, like him having to instill hope upon humanity and fear upon your subjects by injuring you, only he would have been capable of doing that. Only he had the skills and talents necessary. I would have never stood a chance. So I used him for my cause. Howard's strength was my power. I cannot hack into any computer. I cannot remotely control all the jets in the entire world, remotely control cars or satellites. That is Alex's strength. That is her incredible skill. And again, her strength becomes my power. Al's strength is my power. Abraham's strength is my power. I do not rely on my own abilities. I do not rely on my own limitations. I am a powerful man because I lead powerful men. And I don't have to be stronger than them, Dracula. I only have to lead them. That is why people fear my name. With Dracula leaning his head back, well, that is interesting. That is very interesting. Aren't you ever afraid of them rising up against you? Challenging you? Trying to overthrow you? Says Dracula, with Abraham listening in on the conversation. Vince had not always been the way he is, Dracula. He had learned his skills at a very young age, and he is a master manipulator. Though I should not say that proudly, nor should he be proud of it. But a fact is a fact, even if it is bad or unlawful or immoral. It is a fact, says Abraham as he nods his head and continues moving the rubble, with Dracula then turning his head back to Vince. Well, it would appear we have plenty of time. Why not indulge? Vince, when did you learn these skills? Says Dracula, with Vince turning away from him and beginning to move more rubble. I don't know if I want to delve into it, Dracula. Oh, come now. There is no reason not to. It will pass the time. The only thing I remember, Dracula, is living in an orphanage. Quite similar to the orphanage I run, the orphanages that I fund. Though I never belonged, and we were never treated like family. We were treated more like cattle, numbers to be sold. And there were countless amounts of people, loving, caring people that wanted nothing more than to have a child. Though they could never afford us, for some reason, they had to be far more qualified than any birth parent, making the odds of us ever being adopted near impossible. And recognizing that I was nothing more than a profit for the government, I abandoned that orphanage. I believe I was either 9 or 10 years old. And when I abandoned it, there were many homeless children, though many of them were older than me, and unfortunately, many of them were drug addicted. They were easy to rule, easy to lead, easy to become their authoritarian, their role model, even if I was 5, 6, or even 7 years younger than them. We mastered the craft of theft. We mastered stealing food. We mastered pickpocketing those that looked like they could afford it. We mastered all the good scams, the 3-card Monty, the 3-dish pit, the triple cup, and we had quite a good thing going. And I learned the ways of the underground, networking and connecting with the right people, though working with adults was always risky, as they would gyp us any chance they had. We quickly realized that the world was our enemy, and the only hope we had was trusting in one another, protecting one another. In a way, these delinquent children, drug addicted, abandoned, or simply ran away, had become the closest thing to family that I have ever had. And By the age of 16, many of the children that I had originally associated with were now adults, capable of far more brutality than I ever was, far more capable than we used to be, but still loyal, still family. That and our numbers had grown. I began recruiting those far younger than me, making sure they always had full bellies, and making sure that they were protected. Eventually, we began taking advantage of the situation we were put in, began playing around with the idea of dealing narcotics and the illegal substances. And before we knew it, we were being forced to cut off the fingers of those who had crossed us, being forced to put those who had gypped us and scammed us and hurt us and stolen from us in their place. We had even been forced to kill those who had wronged us, to send a message that you did not mess with Vince Caballero, and you would never, ever dream of laying a finger on anyone that he called family. And so my empire began to grow. However, networking the way I did caused a lot of my friends to die, a lot of my family to perish, many of them by their own hands, as we began making far more money than men our age should have been capable of making. And what do you do when you don't have a job? What do you do when you have more money than you can spend? You begin getting bored, making poor decisions. Many of them overindulged in the illegal substances and met their maker, beginning to hate the life that I had created, beginning to hate the life that I had led so many to. And then we had stolen from the wrong man, a man we knew was a criminal, a man we knew ran an organization, but we had no idea how fierce this man was. And we had never heard of anything called a genetic blessing before. We had never seen such power that would replicate that of fiction. And so we messed with the wrong man. And I do believe that is when I first met Abraham. He could have killed me that day, but instead he took me in and taught me the proper skills to properly run the underground. He took me in as if I was his own son and raised me with the strictness that I had never received before, and oddly was refreshing. And before I knew it, my name had grown big enough to where it had even caught the attention of the GBA. And upon offering me a job, I gladly took it with the blessings of Abraham. And, well, the rest is history. And when I was forced to turn away from yet again another family. I was forced to start a family up again and return to the underground, leading with an iron fist once again. Though this time it was different. I never saw them as family. My true family was Jasmine, Alex, Al. That was my true family, and that is my true power. With Dracula then again resting his head back, that was really boring. You are really boring, says Dracula, with Vince looking at him annoyed. You know, nobody likes you. You do know that nobody likes you, right? No one loves you, says Vince, with Abraham looking at Vince from the corner of his eye, trying to figure out where this immaturity is suddenly coming from. With Dracula looking up at the rubble. I do understand, though. I do understand how you could be useful to me. Useful to you? I'll never work for you, Dracula. You have done far too much damage. You have put this world in far too much peril. For all we know, the entire world might be rubble. We might be digging our way out straight into space for all we know. And as far as I'm concerned, it is your fault. It most likely would be my fault. But that would also mean I win. Since that would mean we'd be the only 3 left alive, and, well, we're all genetic blessings. My goal would be accomplished, would it not? With Vince, then, being put at a pause and looking at Dracula. And what about you? Says Vince, with Dracula looking at him. What about me? Responds Dracula. What is your story? I know you had history with the chief, as he was Von Helsing. But why this insane goal? The insanity of wanting to eradicate all human life, wanting to control the world. And furthermore, why have you chosen to either kill Al or Walter? What about those 2 men are so important that one must die? Why do you want Walter dead so badly? Yes, well, the answer to that is simple, my friend. Would you like me to go into it? Tell a story about my childhood? Says Dracula mockingly, with Vince scoffing. Very well. I suppose it is only fair to inform you. Before my death, and before I became the Guardian, I existed in the 1400s. A time where there was a perceived evil, though it was never considered to be humanity itself. It was the unholy, those of an evil persuasion, and I had partnered up with Von Helsing to eradicate such evil. Though long before Von Helsing, I had discovered that the unholy was no other than the genetic blessings. And I had equated the genetic blessings with the evil of the world. Though it had become clear to me that the evil was not genetic blessings, but mankind, the human race itself, for them consuming genetic blessings had only increased their evil nature, their evil intent. And so, of course, I still saw genetic blessings as the superior evil. But it was not just genetic blessings. It was all of humankind. And I had begun punishing the human race for their sins, for their crimes. It was my goal, my mission, to punish every man that had deserved it. And if they had not lived up to my code, they were impaled. And then I got grasp of the God Orb. And obtaining the God Orb, I had realized that I was the god of all genetic blessings. And the answer was clear. Eradicate all humankind that had not received the genetic blessing. And then I could control those who had received genetic blessings. Becoming the Guardian made that goal, that mission, far, far more possible. Though I didn't know it at the time, Von Helsing betraying me and killing me and burning me to the stake was one of the best things he could have ever done for me. It was a tremendous favor that I could never pay him back for. And now all I must do is take control over the world, eradicate all war, all disease, all suffering, all starvation. I could bring true peace to the world and make it a paradise, make it heaven. Though, unfortunately, it does not stop there. Have you ever wondered where the genetic blessings come from? I am their guardian. I am the guardian of all genetic blessings, but I do not create them. They are created by other guardians. Guardians who do not come from Earth, of the human inheritance. They are higher beings, and they are far more evil than any human I've ever met. They create the genetic blessings and send them down to me for me to choose who may receive it. And the only reason they send down the genetic blessings is to play a game, to play a entertainment for themselves as they watch us scramble for power, and they place bets to see what one will do with the genetic blessing they had created. We are nothing but an ant farm to them. And if I can control this entire planet, then I can protect this planet from those guardians, and maybe even make this planet strong enough to where we can revolt and fight back against these other guardians, against these higher entities. For revolution must begin somewhere, and it is with me. Higher entities? You expect me to believe that there are higher entities out there that are controlling us, that are sending us genetic blessings? I do expect you to believe it because it is true. I have not told a lie. Is it really that hard to believe, Abraham? Where do you think these genetic blessings come from? You think they just appear out of thin air? No. Everything has a creator. Everybody has a creator. There is always an artist behind every canvas. The genetic blessings are no different. And so it is my job to not only control this planet, but to protect it, to perfect it. And much like Vince when he was a child, I must create a strong bond amongst this planet. I must create a family so powerful, a planet so powerful that even the higher entities, the other guardians, will fear our name. They will fear our planet. I am the only man capable of doing this, says Dracula, with Vince still being put at a pause. I am sorry, Dracula. I do understand your passion now. I do understand your motivation and why you have fought so hard. Though only one question still remains. Why Al and Walter? Why must one of them die? I have no need to kill Al. You see, Vince, I need Walter dead. I need Walter gone. And if I would have chosen any one of your other friends, it may not have given you the motivation necessary to accomplish the task. And if I chosen Alex, something would have clicked. You may have reached your max potential with the need to protect her, and you may have been capable of killing me. Al was the perfect candidate. Walter is my true target. Walter must die. For he is not one of us. Walter is not of Earth. He is no man. He only walks among us. And he has taken the form of a man. He has taken the form of a human. But he is one of the higher entities. He is the agent of the Guardians. He is the agent that they send down to do their bidding. And I tell you, this man is far more powerful, far more dangerous than I, far more dangerous than you could ever imagine. This being, his true form, is more terrifying than you could ever imagine. He can't even use his genetic blessing without causing total destruction upon this planet, without wreaking absolute chaos. Walter is single-handedly responsible for destroying Olympus, for sinking Atlantis. He is capable of eradicating an entire race, extinguishing entire civilizations, leveling entire mountains. he, at full power, could even destroy the very planet that we call home. Even the human body that he had chosen is near perfection. It is a perfect specimen of a human man, for nothing less would be able to contain his raw power. And he cannot even use his genetic blessing. Not while walking on this earth, not while bringing absolute attention to himself. In order for me to accomplish my goal, to accomplish my mission, and to even stand a chance against the other Guardians, Walter needs to be taken care of, and I cannot do it. I am not strong enough to do it. With Vince and Abraham now at a pause, with Abraham not knowing how to respond, and Vince not knowing how to react. If you cannot do it, then how the hell did you expect me to do it? If he has destroyed Olympus, if he has sunk Atlantis, if he is capable of what you are saying, how on this planet, how do you expect me to beat him or even kill him? Because Vince, what makes him an agent, what makes him so powerful is that he is one of the other ones. And you, too, are one of the other ones. I used to be, but now I'm a Guardian. What exactly do you mean by one of the other ones? What is that? What does that mean? Says Abraham, with Vince getting aggravated. This will be the second time you had said that. What is one of the other ones? With Dracula then rocking his head back once again. I have said everything you need to know, Vince. All you need to know is you are far, far more powerful than you think you are, responds Dracula, as he then slips his leg out from the boulder as if it was never even lodged in the first place, as he stands up and brushes the filth off of his white robes. Now, I came here to have a discussion, and that missile gave me the perfect opportunity. Grab my hand so that we can get out of this pit. You were able to get out the whole damn time, responds Vince, with Dracula only giving him a stern glare as Abraham and Vince grab his hands. He then teleports them on the top of the rubble, and as they look into the sky and look across the field, it would appear that almost the entire planet is burnt, with a large blue light erupting in the distance. With Dracula then looking at Vince, your 7 days is up. You must kill Walter, says Dracula, with Vince looking at him sternly. Find someone else to do it. Send somebody else to do it. I am not going to do it, Dracula. I understand your motivations. I understand where you are coming from, but I will not allow you to rule this planet. I will not allow you to get rid of all human freedom, of humanity's birthright. So find someone else and understand that I will fight to the death, protecting Walter and Al, says Vince, with Dracula nodding his head and shaking Vince's hand as he then vanishes, completely leaving Abraham and Vince alone once again, with Abraham looking at Vince. Are you doing this out of pure logic? Or has your judgment been clouded by emotion? Abraham, I am going to protect Walter and Al, and we will rise against the higher entities without Dracula. And that is Genetic Wars, July 27th, Part 1, and I will be continuing the story in Genetic Wars, July 27th, Part 2. If you had made it this long, thank you very, very much, and if you had enjoyed, please do consider hitting the like and subscribe button. It means a lot to me, it helps me out a lot, and, yeah, that is all I have to say. Do not get hit by a meteor. Take care of yourselves, and bye.